And then I'll tune in to John, and I'll tune in to Kevin Brennan show, MLC. I'll watch that. I don't know why so many people in the Dabbleverse, they're so defensive about watching anyone else's show. Like Opie, I'll watch Opie's show too. I'll watch Opie doing his thing. And the first thing they go is like, "What? I don't watch any of those stupid shows. You won't catch me watching Brennan or Shuley or Carl or any of these guys. When am I going to watch that?" And it's like, you're just lying. You do watch it, but why lie about it? Why try to cover up that you watch it? I love these shows. They're hilarious, whether intentional or not. They're very funny to watch. I was hanging out in MLC, Misery Loves Company, Kevin Brennan's podcast, in the chat room, and the chats are really funny. So, yeah, you hang out, you throw in a few zingers, and that's that. I don't know why people are so defensive. The other thing happening over the weekend on a smaller bubble than things like the Super Bowl and all that crap, the Opie situation. Like, a lot happened, a lot has transpired since I saw you last on Thursday of last week. And the Opie situation is really fucking crazy. Opie was doing a show for quite a while now, but pretty consistently now with Ron the waiter. It's a guy he met a while back in a restaurant. The guy was actually a waiter. Still is, I believe. He's a Boston guy, so he's got that fucking accent. And he's very opinionated. And he's an interesting fellow. You could hate the guy, but he's interesting. He'll pull out these little factoids. Sometimes he's got it ass backwards. Sometimes it's partly right, but then he's a boomer, so he was looking at AI. And that kind of makes things interesting. So I was watching their show, not every night, when I could, if it was on and I noticed live, or I'd watch the recording or something. But that's about it. And then this turmoil kicks up in Opie's the Opie camp. It seems Ron, the waiter, got on the show and started saying that I was DMing him, direct messaging him from, I guess, Facebook. I think that's really the only social media that he has. Again, very boomer-esque. He's probably got a MySpace page. I follow Dane Cook. He's another awesome comic. He's also a stand-up, by the way. So he gets on the show and starts saying how Anthony, me, has been DMing him and saying how awesome Ron is. Oh, Anthony was talking about me, saying that I carry the show. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. A funny guy. And Opie's kind of looking at him. And I'm watching, and I see the look on Opie's face. And I go, uh-oh. It's amazing when you know someone. You know, Opie will say this, and in some circumstances and cases, I believe this is true too, that we were never the best of friends. I think he oversells the non-friendship thing a little more than it was. I think we were really good friends for a while, longer than he thinks. But I think he's right when he says we were never really these best of friends. But we're business partners. Had a great time. There were, in my view, absolutely so many more good times doing the O&A show than there were bad times. But as far as friendliness and, confidence in I'm having some trouble at home. Let me tell you about it, and things like that. We just didn't have that. Maybe that's part of the relationship that didn't click. What did click was we could do really good radio together. That's it. And that's not a strange occurrence. This is something that you talk to any entertainment duo or bands or something. I think this is more common than uncommon. It's very rare that these guys that work together and are very successful together also have this great camaraderie, maybe again in the first couple of years, but if you've had any longevity in your success with someone else over the course of time, I don't think you'll find many instances where these people are friends and confide in each other and support each other in their private lives. I don't know why, that could be argued till the proverbial cows come home. There are probably many different reasons for that, but it is what it is. So we just weren't that type of friends. We played it off good on the radio show, and, I'm able to pay for my fucking bridge work because of it. So, that's where we stand. So Ron was talking about this. Oh, that's what I was going to say is, even though we weren't this friends relationship thing, I got to know him really well, and he got to know me really well. All of the good parts and all of the bad parts of each other's personalities and everything. Again, something that just naturally happens. And it's weird that anyone, and I'm not saying Opie did take any conflict in that business relationship as a personal affront, but I do think he took a few very personally. And I think a lot of team artists and rock musicians especially we got a couple of big personalities there, your lead singer and your guitarist, and you both write the songs together. You're going to know each other very well, but there's going to be that conflict, and the art that comes out of it is good, but you might not get along very well. So I know him pretty well. So when I saw Ron trying to convey the fake Anthony who was DMing him and what fake Anthony was saying, knowing that I never DM'd him, I kicked back and just went like, oh no, Ronnie. Oh, Ron, what are you doing? This will not bode well. And it did not. I fired off a text to Opie just to let him know that I have not texted or DM'd or in any way gotten in touch with Ron. Because here's another misconception that's out there, that over the course of the dozen years where I have not worked with Opie, I never tried to undermine his show and what he was doing. I never made efforts to fuck up his show. Now, having been this guy's radio on-air partner for 20 years, we're both going to look in at what the other one's doing and maybe comment, critique, joke, bust balls. I mean, that's, if you look at the O&A show, it's really what we did. A room full of those legendary comics would come in. They weren't trading recipes and complimenting each other's choice of shirts. It was the most ball busting you'd ever see. And it was hilariously funny. And there were times it went too far and people's feelings got hurt, whatever. But vast majority of times, and for the vast majority of people that were in there, they understood what it was all about. I remember going to Caroline's on Broadway, and Patrice O'Neill was up on stage, and he's killing it. He's being very funny, but the audience, there weren't many people in the audience, and they didn't seem very interested in what Patrice was doing. He was bombing. And Voss was there, and me and Voss, and might have been Opie too, we're sitting kind of in the back, and Voss starts yelling shit to Patrice from the audience on the stage, like a heckler would. But unlike a heckler, Voss didn't give a shit. And there was nothing Patrice could do. He can't have Voss thrown out. And it was some of the funniest shit ever. Patrice was laughing. It's busting balls. It's, you know, if your buddy is in a shitty situation, especially in the realm of comedy or entertainment, broadcasting, his buddies are going to shit on him. What do you think? When my good friend Adam Ferrara, when I saw a commercial pop up for the Olive Garden, and it was Adam Ferrara going, yeah, there's free breadsticks there, pal. Sure. Here's my uncle from Sicily. Oh, geez, it better be good Italian food here. Hey, Hospitaliano's what they do here, pal. None of us, not me, not my brother, not Joe Curry, not any of us who were tight as fuck with Adam Ferrara went up and went, damn good job on that Olive Garden commercial, Adam. Just fantastic. You conveyed the awesomeness of their gourmet food. You look the part. Italian. No, it was fucking brutal what we said to Adam. Again, this is what friends do. This is what you do. You bust balls. There are a few people that have come across my transom over the course of the years that have not been very good at taking having their balls busted. It's a bad industry to be in if you can't take having your balls busted. Entertainment, for one, more so comedy. And Stuttering John is one of those guys. We all know it. You insult his shirt, and he will, like with Artie. Artie makes a little joke, and he turns around and goes, oh, you try to kill yourself with bleach. Why don't you do that again? And you're like, this guy doesn't understand the finesse that is needed for busting your friend's balls. And that's why John is so despised by so many people that he had worked with previously, because they saw that side of him. And if you worked for the Howard Stern show, which was all ball busting, I mean, they shit on each other relentlessly and to a level that made most people uncomfortable. And you come from that environment and you're sensitive about someone like when when I went to see John live at one of the governor's clubs out on Long Island, the next day I didn't get on the air and go, so I saw John last night. He sucks as a comic. What an awful fucking comic this guy is. There was no one in the audience, and the people that were there weren't laughing. He's terrible. He should give it up. That's not what I said. Because at the time, we were friendly. What I said was, and by the way, there weren't a lot of people there, and he wasn't killing. But I'm not going to, that's not busting balls to just walk up and without any comedy to it or anything creative, you just start saying you suck, because that isn't what we do. So I get on the show the next day and I'm like, so John, how was it? I go, it was the first time I was able to park right next to the front door of the club. That says it all in a way that is funny. It like conjures up an image. It's separated a little from, hey, you suck. And people might go like, why? What does that have to do with John being good or bad? Oh, the parking lot was empty because there weren't a lot of people there because he's not good at what he does. You take that, the chain of events. John lost his fucking mind and started personally insulting me, critiquing my show, again, not in a funny, constructive way. I sucked, calling me Pocky, like all that shit stemmed from me making a joke. And again, did Patrice disown Voss for telling him he sucked on stage at Caroline's? No, they know each other and they know what ball busting is. So John is a guy devoid of any ability to understand ball busting. Goes right for the personal jugular when he is ever critiqued about anything. And that is why so many shows focus on him. And that is why he thinks everyone's watching him because he's awesome. When the fact is everyone's watching him because he's the village idiot. Back in the olden days, the kingdoms used to have the village idiot. And they were known as the dummy. That was hilarious to watch because they were idiots. And they would do things like just knock himself in the head with a rock and roll around in horse shit. And it's like, oh, look, the village idiot. A lot of people watched the village idiot. But they never said that village idiot is so funny, so clever, so creative. You never wanted to get into a back and forth with the village idiot. You weren't going to hear some great repartee. He's an idiot. So people watched. It's not a compliment to the village idiot that so many people wanted to watch him. It's a testament to what an idiot he is. And that's why people watch John. But I guess to deal with it, he has to think and believe that it's because he's so awesome that people have to watch him. And that's just not the case. I didn't even want to get into much John stuff here, but I'm just kind of laying the foundation for the people that I know that are thin-skinned. Stuttering John Melendez. And Opie. Greg Opie Hughes. He will probably see this. If he doesn't or claims that he didn't see it, he will definitely say that someone told him. Or there will be someone in his chat. And what they will tell him or write or what he'll see and interpret it as is, oh, fucking Anthony trashing me on his show again. That is not what this is. I'm not trashing you. I think everyone that has ever known Opie knows that he's not very conducive to being goofed on. And as one of the hosts of the Opie and Anthony show, it seemed weird, almost hypocritical in that sense. And when it became very known with the comics and the staff and everyone else, people pulled back. They weren't like, oh, let's double down and really fuck with this guy. They pulled back. All right, when Voss and DePaulo and Colin are in and we're all destroying each other, everyone knew, lay off of Opie. Opie would usually back off the mic. And the guys would start shitting on each other, and we'd all get involved with that. And it was kind of Opie's signal like, hey, I'm not saying anything. Don't goof on me. It was kind of a known thing. And that's fine. I got no problem with that. There's no contract that said Opie had to take shit from the likes of your local New York comics. So it was what it was. But it did not take away from the fact that Opie was very thin-skinned. So when I would get on my show after I was fired and talk about his show, he took it as trashing him and, like I said earlier, undermining him, turning the fans against him, influencing. He said it on a show yesterday, I believe. If not yesterday, it was the day before. He used the term king of manipulation when it came to me. I'm not a manipulator, that's for sure. And you better believe it. I'm not a manipulator. I'm not very good at it. I'm one of those people that likes to be liked. So when you manipulate somebody, you got to put them in a position where they don't like you very much, but you have some type of power over them that you can influence their opinions on things. That's the strangest part. I've never thought I could influence people's opinions. The only influence I believe I have on my audience and the O&A audience in the past, those of you that never came around to this whole thing, is that people want to watch the shows I put out. You could argue that one till the cows come home too. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and make assumptions like Stuttering John, I guess because I'm awesome. I'm not going to do that. But it is true that whatever radio podcasting endeavors I have done, it seems to do well. And knock wood, and thank you to everyone out there. The WABC show is doing incredibly well. When they post the videos of that show on their YouTube channel, those videos do well. This compound censored Anthony Cumia show does very well. And the clips that are put up after the show airs, the edited clips that are put up on YouTube, those do very well. Now, am I somehow manipulating the audience? I would assume if I'm manipulating the audience, that they don't like what I do. They don't want to watch. But somehow I make them because I'm manipulating them, which seems silly. I believe people watch this show because they want to watch it. It somehow entertains them. They get something out of it in return. I appreciate it, but I think that's it. Now, the only way Opie can rationalize why people watch my show and they don't watch his show. You see? You see where I'm going? There's a couple of avenues you can explore as to why that's happening. One would be that I relate better with the audience, that the stuff I talk about is stuff that the people that watch this show talk about and think about. And it draws in an audience, and they like it, and they want to see what it's going to be tomorrow. And Opie, not so much. That's one way to look at it. Another way is I've been in this. When I got fired from Sirius, I jumped right into doing this. And I wasn't cutting corners. I wasn't sitting on a windowsill with a shitty webcam and a shitty microphone, not preparing whatsoever, and then going on and reading the few people that were in the chat room. Because I don't consider that a show. The Opie and Anthony show was a show. And if you have an expectation as to what Opie and Anthony or Opie or Anthony would do, that's really going to be disappointing, and it's going to be so off the beaten path of what they're used to when watching the O&A show. So I started right up. The audience was familiar with me, my personality from O&A, and expected something. And I tried my best to deliver that. And in the past 12 years since I was fired, I think I have. There's been some changes, some adjustments, some change in me, a little change in things that I want to talk about, change in society that I feel is a good thing to address and talk about. And then there's Opie, who like I said, just sat on his windowsill, turned on an inexpensive camera and microphone, and did not prepare anything. Knew not what the people were talking about, didn't want to take a side in anything. Like, oh, I have an opinion about that. Let me voice it. And then if somebody has a different opinion, I can sell my opinion to him and he can sell his to me, and it might make for lively debate that would make interesting broadcasting. That's it. But he kind of parted around for a while. No one really knew what he was doing. He had Carl, the chef guy, and then he had a few comics would come around and do things with him. Vic Henley. And unfortunately, Vic and Carl passed away. And I think that had a big impact on Opie wanting to continue doing something that was more like the O&A show, in that you have comics and it's a group mentality and you're throwing shit back and forth and around the room. That would make anyone kind of go like, fucking hey, give me a break here. You're killing off my show. And that's when it kind of really started getting where it wasn't scheduled. He'd pop on when he wanted to. A week or two would go by where you don't see him at all. And then he'd come back and like he's not really talking about anything. And the reading of the chat, anyone, here is a piece of advice for podcasters. And you are getting advice from someone that has been in broadcasting for 30 years. I've been in the podcast world for at least 12 years. All of those things have had their level of success. So I would think if you're a podcaster wanting to kickstart that podcast career, you might want advice from people that can give sound advice. Here's my advice. Don't look at the chat ever during your show. Do not look at your chat. It's probably the most distracting thing a person on a podcast could do. Not only is it distracting you, the audience is getting distracted that you're just drifting off and staring at a monitor because what? You're waiting for a compliment? You're waiting for something you could talk about on the show? That's your job. Your job is to come up with shit to talk about on the show. It's not the people that are tuning in. Their job is to tune in. And if you don't like it, leave. And if you like it, stick around. I think your job is to have stuff prepared, professionally deliver it with equipment that doesn't have your audience squinting, trying to hear what you're saying, impatient at freeze-ups, and the professional. So anything I said about Opie's show wasn't undermining it. I didn't just say things like, oh my God, this guy sucks, don't watch him. I would never say that. I would never DM anyone that was doing his show and say, what are you doing? Don't do his show. That's stupid. I would never do that. But he has a way of equating critiquing his show and saying, geez, dude, get on at a regular time. Pick a time in the afternoon and go on every day at that time. That way you get some familiarity with the audience as far as when you're going on. People aren't going to search you out. Not many people are that good where you could just, I think I'll go on at noon today. And you're going to get an audience that's going to go, when is he on? Let me check. Then you'd become a distant memory. So I would say things like that. I would talk about, preparing, getting topics for the show. And first and foremost, ignore the chat. Ignore it. There's a way to do the chat, especially with super chats. Super chats are these guys' lifeline, the bread and butter, as they call it. It's money. They're not making a lot of money on the ads that are being put on their videos. There's not enough people watching. They're not making money in other more traditional ways that broadcasters or podcasters make money. So the super chat thing, just having people come on and going, well, I want to have my opinion seen by the host, and read by the host. And I'm willing to pay $10 for that. And there you go. That's how you make money. But you don't sift through them while you're supposed to be doing a show and keep reading them, and you're sorting out which ones you're going to read, which ones you won't read. No, I'm not reading that. This one, oh, you're awesome. This one, no, I won't read that. And then the audience is watching going, what is this? Anyone staring at that fucking monitor, looking at their chats, each one coming in, all paranoid that it's going to be some guy shitting on you, trashing you, looking for a compliment, looking for a $20 bill, that is not entertaining to the viewer at home. And that's advice. There's your Anthony podcasting advice. But as far as Opie goes, when I would say things like this, he would say I was trashing him. It's not. If I wanted to trash you, I would trash you. I would be more ruthless. I would say things that have zero constructive element to it. And they would be very personal and very mean. And you just haven't reached that. You're not that guy that I would want to do that to. Stuttering John is. Stuttering John's that guy. When you're, when the only son, the only true son you have that was born with a penis, when they decide as an adult that they don't want to associate with you in any way, shape, or form anymore, and they take the extreme measure to change their last name from your last name, Melendez, to the last name of the guy that married their mother, their stepfather. He feels his stepfather has been more of a dad, more supportive, more engaged in this guy's life than Stuttering John could ever be. And in feeling that way, he decided to make that statement and change his name. Just throw away the Melendez name and take up this new guy's name. This, not new, he's been the stepdad for a while. But imagine that. Just snuffing out your father's name in the history of the Melendez family. You just go, nope, it ends right here. And I will now call myself and any children I have and any of their children will have this last name. Barutul. That is terrible. And if you have people, not just one guy, people that hear that news and bask in it like a warm bath, love it, laugh at it, say good, you must really be a piece of shit. I can't come up with any other reason why such a variety of people would all come to the same conclusion and all come to the same feeling upon hearing that news. Not like, oh, God, that's terrible. Fuck him, that kid. You should never do that to your parents, no matter what they did. He's your father. And that. Not a one. Everyone comes out of the woodwork and goes, oh, yeah, he's a piece of fucking shit. That falls directly on you. Directly on you. So while I soak that up, like I wouldn't look at anything bad happening to Opie as something I would be happy with, or that I would laugh or giggle or tell other people that you see what happened to that asshole. Like, he's not that guy. I don't have that animosity toward him personally. So that's why wrecking his show or undermining, or I'm texting Ron and telling him that you're carrying the show and fuck that guy. Like, it wouldn't happen. That's not the type of relationship, even at this point, that I have with Opie. It's not that he spells it out as being this toxic relationship. I will never have anything to do with that Anthony Cumia guy again. And that's his prerogative. Look, I don't know how he feels about me. I don't know. When I go through adversity, I don't think he's basking in it. I don't think he's enjoying it and laughing. He sent some very nice texts to me when I was going through adverse situations in my life. So it is what it is. But I just don't want him or anyone else thinking I'm undermining his show. And when Ron came out with that, the first thing was, oh, this prick Anthony, what is he doing? Well, back to the Ron story. It turns out that Ron either made it up or it's an imposter. It's the fucking internet. But again, you're talking boomers here. Not very understanding as to how the internet works, how trolls work. And if I was DMing Ron, if I was Ron and I wasn't a tech moron boomer, I would do some checking. And it's not that hard to do. Do some checking to find out if that was indeed me. And then there's a couple of options for you right there. I couldn't definitively find out if it was Anthony or not. Keep mouth shut. Don't bring it up. You don't know. I definitively found out it was Anthony. Now you bring up what you talked about. Why is this fuck texting me? Why is that? You find out that it indeed was not me. You keep your mouth shut. Why go to Opie and say that this guy, who most likely is not me, is saying wonderful things about Ron, and in a way putting Opie in the corner there? Not good. Not good. So again, when I saw Opie's face when Ron started doing that, I'm like, uh-oh. And it was an uh-oh, because Ron eventually, Opie confronted him and said, let me see the DMs. Where are they? Opie knows me. He would probably be able to look at the DM and say, no, that's not Anthony. Did it say the cunt won't even look at me? Good first question to ask. So, in closing on this whole situation, Ron is out at the Opie Radio podcast. Opie said that he talked to Ron. He wanted to see the DMs. Ron didn't get back to him, and then wrote him a little note that said, I'm taking off for the next week. No explanation. No explanation about the situation where he thought I was DMing him. Just Opie got a little too like, well, I want to see these receipts because this is a problem, Ron. And Ron, this seems like something Ron would do. Like if Ron is faced with a problem and he doesn't really see a solution, I think Ron's the kind of guy that just packs up and splits. Old Splitsville. So that's where it ended. He said next week. Opie speculated, I think next week is going to turn into next month and then a couple of months and stuff. So Opie was looking for someone to do the show with him as kind of a stand-in for Ron until Ron never shows up or Ron shows up and they could talk it out. Whatever. That's getting a little too deeper, much deeper into it than my pay grade. Unless it directly involves me, which it did with this whole thing. And for Opie to wonder, like, why is he even texting me? Well, I was involved in this. You were discussing this with Ron, and the way you were talking and yelling was, why is he texting you? That's creepy. I wouldn't do that. So you were absolutely believing that I would do something like that. And again, I wouldn't want you thinking that I'm undermining your show or doing something that nasty. So I wanted to let you know that I did not message him. And I let you know because I have your number. and I'm able to text you like a fucking civil human being, I let you know. So I think that's very understandable. I think when this was brought up on Carl's show and Shuley and all the other people that addressed this, I think they all understood why I would have the unmitigated gall to text you on this. It was like the perfect opportunity. I can't see many other reasons to text you except for the fact that I'm involved in this Opie world between Opie and Ron. So that's about it.